In the previous video, I took a look at the original Grand Theft Auto to see if it was still worth playing today, and the answer was... maybe? I mean, how else can you put it? But roughly 18 months after its release, DMA, now showing off their Rockstar title for the very first time, would release an expansion onto the first game known as London 1969. So this was essentially what we consider DLC in the modern age. While expansion packs to increase a game's lifespan were on the cusp of taking off in the PC market at this time, the fact that this was also made available on the PlayStation 1 is what makes this so forward-thinking. And this is coming from the team who would go on to become an industry leader in this field. Episodes from Liberty City and Undead Nightmare are both incredible, beloved add-ons to their respective titles, and of course I've got to mention all of the free updates to Grand Theft Auto 5's online mode over the years. For that reason, I've always been very curious to see what London has to offer as an expansion onto a title of generally average reception. At first glance, it just looks like more of the same, which is to be expected, but immediately we're transported across the Atlantic and back in time to find classy vehicles of a bygone era teamed with the incredibly gruff language them bloody Brits are known for, making some of the more serious moments almost a bit hilarious. But holy shit, who would have thought that the biggest challenge here would be driving on the left side of the road? I'm from down under and we drive on the left-hand side of the road, but all of the video game worlds that I've grown up with are Americanized, so I've been indoctrinated into driving on what we would consider the wrong side of the road. So now finally trying to adjust to that, I just can't get it right. I'm constantly crashing head on with other vehicles and trying to get into the wrong side of the car. It's absolutely nuts how our brain's programming can be scrambled by such a simple thing, really. But yeah, aside from that, this is indeed an expansion built from the foundations of GTA 1. While we only get one large map, it is ripe with real-world locations like Tower Bridge, Big Benjamin, and Buckingham Palace. It's surreal seeing actual real places in a GTA game. Usually it's a parody representation, but nope, there's no parody here, aside from the thick accents.
Listen right, we're looking for a lad who can do his stuff. I've heard you're a bit tasty, no messing around or you get a slap. Remember, I'm the monkey and you're the cheese grater, so no messing around.
Oh, I love that so much, you have no idea. And when people are talking, we get a glance at several faces straight from the big book of British smiles.
That's enough! That's enough!
DMA and Rockstar North, of course based in Scotland, who else better to take the piss out of the UK? Weapons and cars are all pretty much the same, aside from the brand new sprites to make things era appropriate, and along with being set in '69, seeing that cheeky sense of humour start to flourish is kind of wholesome in a funny way. It's like a kid's first rude joke, but GTA was just a kid at the time. For the most part, there isn't a whole lot new to really see here, but after 18 months, we can see the team making clear improvements leading into GTA 2, which would release later on in the year, making London almost like a preview of what to expect. More in-depth missions taking you on foot to explore rooftops and jump a bike across the roof. Well, trying to anyway. Greater setups for bigger payoffs, and the world around you feeling more reactive to your actions. Little things like collecting payment for protecting a business, and when they don't pay up, you give them a knuckle sandwich to encourage them to spill the beans. Pretending to be a bus driver and luring victims into an ambush. Sure, these are minor details, but they're all steps in the right direction that we'd see evolve over the years. The biggest issue here, though, would be an increased difficulty. I mean, the first game was already tough at certain points, but a lack of actual power-up items or help across the map, combined with stricter time limits, it's kind of shocking how on the ball you need to be. And taking us to more precarious places and still suffering from the overhead camera and a lack of depth perception make a recipe for a game that requires patience and time to learn and get better at, which is something I can appreciate. The way these older GTAs are structured, they'd make for some incredible speedrunning titles. optimizing your runs between each missions and collecting power-ups along the way, trying to earn that high score as quickly as possible. And on that note, I was actually able to make it through all of London 69 without resorting to any cheat codes, which I'm very happy about, as that's more than can be said for the original game. While we still have a life and multiplier system that can be depleted upon failing objectives, we at least get to have a second attempt at them this time, making progression more achievable. With 3 total chapters to play through, averaging around 90 minutes each, this doesn't feel as fleshed out, but one positive is that you only need to learn a single map, which is all flat, and there are bridges everywhere, so it's not nearly as bad as, say, Liberty City from the first game. Though it is laid out very grid-like, which is inherent to the blocky way these games were designed, which goes against the location that it's trying to represent. London is very much not a grid, maybe in little sections by district, but all the primary streets are wavy, with many one-directional roads leading into roundabouts in place of intersections. In the game, however, there is only a single roundabout, and with all straight roads, it's actually a squareabout. This is London by name, and nothing else really. It's crazy that in just a couple of years, The Getaway would present a much more faithful British setting in a true open 3D experience. I mean, can you believe that there is only 2.5 years of time between these two games? That is insane! Man, what a time to be alive. Another more modern example of an open-world Britain simulator would be Watch Dogs Legion from 2020, also set in big-name boroughs of London City. That's not really a fair comparison though, because for what it is, the missions here are more enjoyable continuing to parody tropes of the location and time frame. It's also got solid gold tanks. Do they have solid gold tanks in Britain? Damn. Look, all in all, this is definitely a DLC expansion, something extra to hold you over until the next full game releases, but even so, this is a lot of fun to play. Now, normally I wouldn't hold DLC to the same grading level as a full release title, but unfortunately, London 69 later received a standalone release on the PS1, which means that I'm going to have to give it a score. And, you know, the problem with that is that if I'd bought this full price back in the day all on its own, then I would have been very disappointed. So, I don't know. I think a 4 out of 10 is the absolute best that I can offer it, because despite being on the same level technically as its base game, only featuring 30% of the content is a major letdown. However, in saying that, I would suggest that if you enjoyed the first game or like the look of this, then still go out and give it a try if it interests you, because there is definitely some fun to be had here for the exaggerated eccentricities alone. To my surprise, it must have done well in Rockstar's eyes, as they went on to release a second expansion a few months later, known as London 1961, the prequel of the prequel. What's up with that? Making this the earliest point of existence in the GTA timeline, and given the fact that not many people have played it, as it was only ever available to download from Rockstar's website, with Rockstar themselves seeming to forget that they ever made the damn thing, it's certainly an anomaly, so I'm interested to see what more they could have possibly squeezed out of this concept. There isn't really much to say on this one, given that it's so brief, lads. You'll be lucky to get an hour of content out of it, and that's if you successfully complete everything. In saying that, however, there are more advancements being made. There is a mission where we need to perform a drive-by, allowing you for the first time ever in a GTA game to fire a weapon while driving. And it's busted. It's not good at all. I don't know how they fucked that up so bad. For those of you who've played London 61, you'll be all too familiar with the even harder difficulty. I mean, how could they possibly make it any more brutal? Well, the time limits here are so strict that I swear, even with perfect accuracy in driving to the objective, you'll only make it with a second to spare. Surely that can't be right. This has got to be a glitch or some sort of programming oversight, because every single mission has one of these brutal timers on it. So you've got to go fast, man, and drive perfectly, with that vomit-inducing camera and all of the new vehicles in this add-on defaulting to light speed. Learning my lesson, I've got the text on slow mode so I can get as much information as possible, but now once it's finally out of the way, I get to see the timer for the first time with less than 10 seconds left. It's like, where the fuck am I? This is a mess. These times are tighter than a 15-year-old? And I should know, I have 2 daughters. What the fuck? That is disgusting! A GTA is known for its crude humour, but that is not crude humour. This crosses the line. Hell, this long jumps that fucking line like an Olympic athlete. It's just awful. Look, the parody of James Bond espionage missions carried over from 69 is one thing to get excited for, but it's about the only thing here. It's no wonder this game is ultimately forgotten about, and a little tricky to get your hands on a working version of it. If you've completed this DLC 100%, then you deserve a gold medal, because it's by far one of the hardest things that I've ever attempted to play through, and I gave up after about 40 minutes of the only chapter here. It's a shit show. Now, unlike London 1969, I will not be giving this second prequel its own score, as it was never released outside of being a free expansion pack, so 61, you've just dodged a hell of a bullet, my friend. And following this, a few months down the line, we'd get GTA 2, and this one, oh boy, I cannot wait to talk about this one. So that means that I'll be back real soon with my conclusion to this classic Grand Theft Auto trilogy of videos. But until then, I hope you enjoyed the video! If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share with your friends on social media. I'm Eyed Jak, and I hope you have a great fucking day! Thanks for watching! Fuck, that'll do, Jesus Christ. So bad.
Couldn't get chocolate covered ones, over.
In bed with his dog, over. Papa India Golf 643, over.
This is Papa India Golf 643, over.
A woman has reported a famous politician entering a known brothel, over. A minister of the Crown, over.
No progress, over.
At least 3 patrol cars are to make their way to Golden Square in West Soho, over.